recording ready?
Yes, we are on.
All right, we're on. All right. Well, Chantal, it's a pleasure to do this interview with you today, and I'm so grateful to have the opportunity. We know each other on Facebook, but we've never really connected like this. So it's a pleasure. And how are you today?
Hi, Rob. I'm good. And thank you so much for inviting me on. And you're right. Yeah, we've been connected for quite a while. And for some reason, I thought you were actually an alumni of IIN. And it turns out that you're not. So we must have gotten connected through the health networks and the vegan networks, which is great, right? It's the power of technology.
That's super. And you are in Portugal, you live right now, right?
I am. So we moved here from London in May last year, 2019. And it's because we basically spent the last 2 years building a vegan retreat. And it's a holistic space where we will be growing our own food and really go back to connecting to nature and learning about, going back in a way, but that's our future. Like, it's really understanding how to live with nature, how to be kind to nature, how to grow our own food, how to respect the seasons, how to also understand that we can't have everything at any time, like the famous strawberries in December, and just really work with what nature is ready to give and try to live that way. So the space is really, I'm aiming to make it like a not-for-profit and really just investing in the community to make people understand and learn more. And the ethos is, of course, all plant-based and, no animal cruelty, no animal products, nothing on here.
That's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And you are, just to tell our viewers a little bit about yourself, you're a speaker, you're an author, and you have a degree in plant-based nutrition. Is that correct?
Yeah, I have a certificate. It's not a degree. I didn't do the 4 years Master of Science in a university, but I did a nutritional course. So it's a little bit different, and I make that difference because people that have degrees then get really, upset about it. So no,
Right.
I don't have a degree about in nutrition, but I have certificates and different ones that I've collected throughout the years. So just to give you a little bit of background, I was always interested in health, and it's because I didn't have a very good relationship with food. And so I kind of became very obsessed with understanding nutrition. And I started that journey when I was about 16, 17. But of course, at the time, I wasn't looking at nutrition as something that was a tool to feed the body, to give it what it needed. I was looking at diets, right? I was looking to be skinny and to lose weight and to fit in. And so I looked at it the wrong way, and I didn't understand that until I was 30, so a really long time. But it did gather a lot of knowledge. It's just the shift of the knowledge that had to really happen. And then so fast forward from 16 to 30, my 20s was spent dieting, working really hard at the gym, doing a lot of weight training, a lot of cardio, everything in between. And I kind of burned out a little because I had a very stressful job. I moved to London when I was 25 and 24 actually. And so it was very intense, just moving all over and being in a city that was quite high demand and very expensive. Moving from South Africa, just find all these differences. The weather wasn't great, and you don't think at the beginning, honestly, you don't think about, oh my God, I'm going to be vitamin D deficient. I'm so used to South Africa where like you just naturally are outside, and we go to London where everything is artificial lighting. So you just don't really think about these things. And so progressively, I just got very burned out and tired. And when I turned 30, I just realized I wasn't getting any healthier. I wasn't getting any younger. So I had to do something about it because I wasn't going to spend the rest of my life feeling poorly, which I did. And for a long time, I thought feeling the way that I did, especially with my IBS, was normal. But I couldn't. It was just insane to feel that way. And I enrolled in IIN, the Institute for Integrative Nutrition in New York. And I kind of gathered that I had to work on other kind of foods and not just the ones that I was eating. So my relationship with my body, my relationship with myself, my relationship with food, like the guilt that I had when I was eating, that had to go, and where it came from. So a lot of digging. And in the process, I got to really learn about a lot of experts and doctors, and that step away from, what is kind of accepted by society as the norm, and they were questioning the system, and they were proposing different opinions. So on one occasion, I heard one lecture from Dr. Neil Barnard, and although I didn't have diabetes, I always tended to have my doctor say, look, you need to be careful with your sugar intake. And it kind of inspired me when I listened to the lecture by Neil Barnard about diabetes, and actually how the fats were affecting diabetes more than the sugar. It kind of clicked, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna give it a go. Also, because if this helps my IBS, I'll be like the happiest person in the world. So I tried it, and the magic happened so quickly that I just knew that was the right path. Interestingly, that was around September 2013. I was writing my first book, and that was another beautiful outcome from IIN, because we had this course all about publishing your own book without a publisher, so self-publishing. And I was reading through it just to see what I had written, and I was in between, right? I was moving from a sorry, my dog.
Oh my goodness, they're excited.
We have dogs here, clearly. Hey, girls, Oh my God, I'm sorry.
That's okay. This is funny, we all needed a good laugh, right?
They're going ballistic. Oh my God. Hold on. Maybe you can edit this out. Hold on. This is what's happening. 1 second. Hey.
Oh my goodness. So, yes, this is one of the first videos that we've done, and
Sorry. Oh my God. I think they saw either a mole or a mouse, because they go crazy when they see them.
That's okay. No problem.
Okay. So I was saying, hopefully you can edit that out. Okay, so I was in the process of publishing my first book, and I had just become vegan. So I was just rereading actually what I wrote. I had no confidence in, professing the plant-based lifestyle at the time. And I didn't have enough information to say, actually, this really is the way forward. So I kept my book very balanced with options. So I have to actually, I'm thinking about redoing the book and making it a little bit more plant-based. Well, definitely plant-based, not a little bit. And just actually, have all the science and all the information that I have now. But yeah, it was really IIN that really bolted me into this new reality, this new relationship with food. And it really allowed me to then decide that I wanted to move away from a corporate world in banking into healthcare and wellness, and really looking at the words, right? Healthcare, like taking care of our health, not the management of disease system that we have in the world, where you're sick, your doctor will give you a pill to tame down your symptoms, but the source and the root of your problems is not sorted out. So that's such a, that's not healthcare. And so I really am dedicated to that. And I do it, I started doing coaching one-to-one, but actually I became much more of a fan of public speaking and sharing. And then I use my yoga teacher training to basically teach kindness from the body for our choices in food through yoga, which is quite accessible to a lot of people, instead of making it, just, oh, this is what you have to eat. I think maybe making people think through mindfulness could create a different shift, because I think people need to know why they're doing something, right? And the mindfulness really allows that to happen.
That's correct. And I feel the same way. People have to have a reason to want to change to this lifestyle. And once you can identify that reason, that can help motivate you then to accomplish your goal. So I have some questions for you, Chantal, and I would like to get your thoughts on this. And So for people that are watching this video, what tips would you have for someone who's considering transitioning or adopting a vegan, whole food, plant-based dietary lifestyle?
I think the first step is to understand what becoming vegan means, because there is, there's a division of camps here between vegan and plant-based. And I think actually marrying the two makes the most sense. So being vegan, understanding that there is a need for respecting life of other beings that perhaps we have taken, well, not perhaps, but for sure, we have taken for granted that they are here to serve us, in this case, as food. And then the plant-based side, where actually, you could be a junk food vegan, totally, like you could have chips every day, and you can have vegan burgers every day, and you can have vegan cheeses every day, whatever is pre-manufactured in in a lab, and then have it as food. But actually being plant-based, go to nature for what you have to put into your body. So marrying these two is really important. And I think there is a very impactful reason why we have these foods, these junk foods. They are bridges, and I appreciate them for people that want to try and go there first. So if you're trying to experiment and maybe you really love feta cheese, there are some brands that make vegan feta cheese that really tastes like feta cheese. And I know for me that the cheese was actually one of the things that I hated giving up, and not so much, not in general, but the goat cheese. There was something in goat cheese that taste that I really loved, and I really loved feta. So that was my, my Achilles. Like I was just, I really would love some of that creaminess, and it's fresh, and you can put in salads. And lo and behold, they have vegan options, and it's a great way, as a bridge. And as you progress to become a lot more sophisticated in your cuisine, and you try different recipes, and you make them yourself, and you cook, then you kind of step away from all these add-ons, because the main part of your diet will become naturally a lot cleaner. And especially if you then identify your why. For me, it was getting healthier. For some people, it could be losing weight. For some people, it would just be animals. I mean, I see this a lot in the animal rights movement, where people, if they become vegan for the animals, they would go towards being junk food vegans, because they're like, I don't care about my health, I just care about the animals. Which, I mean, it's a great choice to go vegan for the animals. I'm all for it, but we are part of this ecosystem, and if you're not healthy, you're impacting the ecosystem, you're impacting nature, and eventually the animals anyway, just not directly by killing them or having them as food. But if the medication that is pumped out there, you put in your body, you pee, you poo, it goes into the earth. Like, we're part of the ecosystem. We can't just disconnect. So I think understanding that for people that go junk food vegan is really important, and having the options, but without hooking yourself onto these options. And then try to start slow. One day a week, 2 days a week, maybe. I have friends that are, okay, well, during the week, I'm going to be plant-based. At work, I'm going to make things that are easy, plant-based food, take it to work. On weekends, if my friends have barbecues, I'll have whatever. And, it's a great way to start, if that allows you to slowly go in there. This is my truth because I've experienced it myself, but when I started eating plant-based and I felt better, I just didn't want to have any animal products. So I knew I wasn't going to feel good with it. And I knew the difference. And once you feel the difference, you can't be blind to it, So I think even if you start with a couple of days a week, or with the week, and then weekends, you use animal as treats, I really think that will go away as you start feeling better without them. And then, having a support system. So it's really hard. A lot of my clients struggle when their families are not on board. And sometimes your family will not be on board because they don't get it, because they're older fashioned, they culturally, subjected to thinking, conditioned to thinking that animal products are necessary. And so, your best bet here is to find friends that are perhaps on the same journey, or perhaps that are already step forward, and you kind of get encouragement from them. And now it's easier. It's, vegan options are everywhere. It's not like 5, 6, 7 years ago, where when I became vegan, I had to wait a year, or a few months, actually 6, 7 months before I had a vegan restaurant around the corner from where I live in London. And this is London, so it's interesting.
Right. Yeah, you're right. There's so many options now available that, we live in a time, and I've mentioned this in one of my YouTube videos also, we live in a time now where it's we have all this technology and we have all these resources and all these food options that are vegan now. It's almost like the perfect time to be able to adopt this lifestyle. Where, like you said, 5 years ago, your options were very limited. There wasn't vegan cheeses and nutritional yeast that could be used. Most people didn't know about it. I mean, so many plant-based burgers and all of these, I feel the same way, Chantal, is to be used as, hello? As
Hi.
as transition foods. I don't think, are you still there?
I am. Can you see me? I was putting a do not disturb because I'm using this from my phone. All the
Oh,
things
sure.
are in, and it's really annoying. So I
Oh,
put it.
sure. No problem. So I think these foods are to be used as transition foods to help you move from one point to another point in your life. And so, because they're not necessarily health foods, but I think they can be great tools. So, what is the vegan lifestyle difficult? That was another question I wanted to ask you for people who might be considering it, but they think that you're going to starve a vegan plant-based lifestyle and you're going to be just living on vegetables the whole time and you're always going to be hungry. What can you tell people, Chantal, about that?
It's an interesting question because, especially here in Portugal, I'm faced a lot with you and us approach. Like you eat this, and we eat this. And the thing is that we, in the end, like even people that are not plant-based, use vegetables in their meals, right? In their dishes, in their recipes. And it's just that mindset of obviously making the animal the center of your plate, the flesh the center of your plate. And it's about swapping it around. Make the vegetables the center of your plate, decorated with wonderful whole grains, decorated with wonderful seeds and nuts and lots of pulses. And you can choose all sorts of beans. You can choose lentils, and there are so many kinds of lentils, chickpeas, and you're done. Like really, there is so much to eat. Like mushrooms, if you like mushrooms, there are how many mushrooms? Like 10 kind of mushrooms that we have access to, like just like this. I mean, it is easy. It's just the mindset that vegans are different, so the food is different, and it's not an obstacle. And it's definitely not about restriction. It's actually about abundance. It's about bringing more into our diet. And I mean, statistically speaking, people are now on a normal Western diet, and I used to call it a standard American diet, but really that American diet has expanded big time over the pond. It's a European diet for the most part. So I'm calling it the Western diet. Our standard Western diet is low in fiber and therefore lacking a lot of nutrients, minerals, and we are consuming way too much protein, especially from animal sources when we are not vegetarian and vegan. And so we are really, we are not healthy. So the swapping around, or actually making your vegetables the center of your plate, whole grains the center of your plate, the peas, the pulses, whatever it is that you put in your dish, means that you're getting way more for your money, for your taste bud, for your health in a meal. And that's not depriving yourself. That's actually adding on more stuff that you need. So if anything, you're upping your intake of food. You're making it much more interesting, because flavors can be explosive in a dish when you really are playing with spices, and you're using different, especially locally and seasonal food. And I mean, to be honest with you, I was extremely bored with my food before going vegan. And I used to tell Kyle at the time, I was telling him, look, I'm really bored. I mean, I'm bored. I'm bored of eating bloody chicken and fish. I'm just bored of the taste. I didn't enjoy it. Sometimes we were always making the same things. And since going vegan, just, you can make anything and you can just play with the food. And it was amazing. Also, one thing I liked is that I never got a like food poisoning after going vegan, ever. And I used to get food poisoning at least once a year when I wasn't vegan, whether it was chicken or fish, something went wrong. And it was like,
Wow.
it was
That's
terrible.
one.
Yeah, we're like, I mean, the broccoli is not going to attack you. It's really good. Like, it's a good friend.
It won't jump up and bite you in the lip. No.
Yeah.
Um, that's great, Chantal. And what are, you talked a little bit about your journey. What are the health benefits you noticed right away or within a short period of time after transitioning to this lifestyle?
Right away, definitely my IBS got better immediately. I actually lost weight without trying, which was, obviously an achievement after all these years of being on diets. And I didn't diet anymore. I just didn't diet. I was just eating real food. And the thing is that I actually had a pretty healthy diet before going vegan, or so I thought. I was eating whole foods. Like I was eating real ingredients, but it just wasn't working for me. And of course, later, looking how much hormones am I putting in my body, how much, antibiotics these animals are on. And if I'm eating them, I'm eating the antibiotics too. And that was messing up my belly, which makes a lot of sense when you talk about IBS and also your weight control, because your gut controls your metabolism, controls everything. So, it just all makes sense when you look at it holistically. And so those are the things that I really picked up immediately I just realized, oh my God, I'm digesting better. I'm feeling better. I have more energy. I lost weight. I don't have IBS. Also, I was not as angry because God, I mean, not that I'd never get angry now, but I was so angry like all the time. And I had this like aggressive behavior about me. And I believe in energetics of food. So I'm quite sure that I was picking up on some poor animals' fear and anxiety, like eating their flesh. Like, and that makes complete sense to me as a yogi as well. So I'm like,
If
yeah, I'm getting the karma of the cow here, which is really not good. Like, so those are the
if I
things.
can, I would just love to add to that because I think for people who are watching, this is not only your experience, Chantal. We know, you and I, and people who are in the plant-based community and as vegans, this happens to most people. This is something where your energy comes back, your bowel movements are more regular, you lose weight as a side effect to this lifestyle. So it's just not something that happens to you. It happened to me. It's the same thing. And just like you said, you become more connected to earth and to nature and your sense, this is all connected to your microbiome, these plant foods, and getting rid of most animal products or all animal products. It changes, it has an impact on your mental focus and your and clarity, your mood, and you become more calm and, like you mentioned, less angry, and you change to a certain degree. So these are things that happen to most people all across the board. So I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, perfectly said. And I mean, of course, I made it sound like a crazy yogi thing as well about the energetics. But I mean, just scientifically, your belly is connected to your brain. So if your belly works well, your brain is going to work well too. So naturally, anxiety is going to be less, anger is going to be less. You're going to sleep better. Like all these things just happen that you make you feel healthier and better and more focused and more calm. Definitely. So and it's amazing how. And again, everything really exploded. All this knowledge exploded in the last 6-7 years. So it's such an interesting time also to be vegan and to do it the right way. You know.
It really is. And what are some of the challenges that you've had along the way that you could share with people to maybe just, to talk about that for a moment? If they're trying to do this lifestyle, what are some of the obstacles that you ran into and maybe the tips and things that you've learned that can help?
So, I mean, again, if you are in a big city, those don't apply anymore. But at the time, and if you're in a smaller place now, or in countries where veganism is not as forward, your transition will impact somehow your social life. Because if you don't have a group of friends that will look for the same things as you have to adapt. Now, because every restaurant now will have vegan options in big cities and in most countries in Europe, especially, and in the States, or in big cities in the States, you have the option to go out with your friends and you can all be satisfied with your dietary choices. But the biggest challenge for me at the time was that we didn't have that. And so going out was always this massive headache of, oh my God, what am I going to eat when we go out? Like just olive oil and bread. Like that was really the only choice, because everything either would have butter or was not plant-based or was vegetarian. As I say, butter or cheese, and the chefs were just not open to making, an option available for you. So my navigation around that is that when we went out, what I used to do is that I used to ask them where they wanted to go in which area, and I used to Google the places that were around and choose places that were looked healthier, that had the healthier menu, and then maybe called in advance and asked in advance if they could accommodate somebody that didn't have any animal products. And I used to say that I'm a vegetarian with a severe lactose intolerance, so I can't have cheese. So
That's great.
so I had to have vegan food because I thought vegan has got the stigma on it, so I'm gonna just decorate it as if I'm vegetarian, which is much more accepted, but I can have cheese or eggs, and you're gonna be cool with that because I got an allergy. What are you gonna do? And the thing is that restaurants are receptive to allergies because they don't want to get sued. So they're like, oh my God, don't worry, we're gonna do something for you. And of course, at the beginning was bloody boring, like salads. And I'm like, really? Like this is all you can offer? Make it risotto or something,
Right.
And but again, what happened is that you have to understand maybe going out is more about the socializing than the food. If you don't go to a place where food is amazing or that can really support what you need, and you can have something to eat before you go out, then even if you have a little nibble that you can have when you're with your friends, it's less about the food and more about your friends. And I think in that way, it's fine. Then, of course, there are friends that are really supportive and friends that will just not stop trying to sway you the other way. Oh, you see, we're out and you can't enjoy this. I'm like, I don't enjoy that though, so it's fine. Things like that. And I think you have to just really be strong. And the challenge is mostly coming from other people more than you, to be honest. Like that's just the reality. But then, as we grow wiser, we realize that that's really with everything, right? Sometimes we can make our life quite easy or quite difficult. But when we decide to make it easy, a lot of the times the difficulties come from other people. They just dump their own insecurities and difficulties on us. And you're like, okay, I'm going to have to deal with this now. So it's really navigating, but so that's really the biggest thing. The other thing that still applies now is when you travel, especially I don't know, airports, aside from the biggest airports now, but especially like in Dublin now, you have the Happy Pair. They open their own shop, so it's all vegan and plant-based in a Dublin airport. But generally speaking, you go to airport and it's a food desert, and especially for vegans, it's just impossible. So being prepared when you travel. So what I do is that I always pack snacks, bring them with me. And I tend to eat before my flight and after, so that while I'm in the air, I don't, because I actually found that I'm feeling much better that way. And I just carry my bottle of water and refill it. And I feel better, but I also don't get any pressure that I have to find something to eat. So really being a little bit organized when traveling really helps, especially for airports, because that's challenging. And especially if you start caring about zero waste in the planet, airports are like plastic galore. Everything is plastic, plastic, plastic. And you're like, oh my God. I mean, even if I'm starving now, I just can't I can't bring myself to, it happened that I had a keema salad at Porto Airport, but like just looking at that packaging made me feel so guilty that I'm like, I can't. Next time I'm starving, I'm not eating this. So right. Those are the challenges for sure.
Right. Well, I think maybe we can wrap this up if that sounds good to you, Chantal. I want to thank people who watched this video. And do you have a website that people can go to learn more about what you're doing, Chantal, and to maybe gain some information?
Yeah, totally. You can visit liveleanhealth.com or ecodharmavillage.com. And my Instagram is at liveleanhealth or at ecodharmavillage. So they're very easy. And I guess you can put them in your links below. And you you can get in touch and you can see what we're doing and you can ask any questions. Yeah.
Well, that's great. It's been a pleasure again doing this interview with you, Chantal. And someday I want to get to Portugal. That would be so cool. And I hope the people watching this gained some information, some valuable information that can help them on their plant-based journey as a vegan and can improve their health and therefore the welfare of animals and the environment. Thank you so much for the time. And if you did find this video useful, please feel free to share it with family and friends and other people who might benefit as well. So again, a pleasure, Chantal, and we'll stay connected and maybe do this again in the future.
Yeah, thanks so much, Rob, for the opportunity, and sorry for the doggies going a bit crazy.
Hey, they became part of the video. That's great. So, all right, Chantal, you have a great rest of the day. Take care.
You too. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.